In the last few years, Tether has become one of the most important entities in the crypto industry. The stablecoin it issues, USDT, recently saw its market cap pass $100 billion, making it over 3 times bigger than its nearest rival. It's fair to say that USDT is a fundamental component of the crypto market, with most coins and tokens trading against it. But Tether itself is aiming to become much more than just a stablecoin issuer, as it moves into Bitcoin mining and other ventures. The company recently appointed its Chief Technology Officer, Paolo Ardoino, as its new CEO, and I caught up with Paolo here in Dubai. This was just ahead of the announcement made by Paolo and Telegram CEO Pavel Durov that the TON blockchain would begin supporting USDT payments for Telegram users. Needless to say, I had a lot of questions to ask Paolo, and here is what we discussed. So, great to see you here. Thank you so much. Welcome to Dubai.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Of course, CoinViewer are very excited to have a chat with you. So starting off, there is plenty that we can discuss today, but I think starting point is Tether has gone from being an industry outsider to being systematically important within our ecosystem. Do you think that should give you a seat at the table when it comes to being part of the conversation with regulation and also a voice in policies, not just for stablecoins, but for crypto also?
So we at Tether have been working with regulators all around the world for many years already. So as a new industry, the crypto industry started, with Bitcoin 2008, and now has been growing first slowly, and now is, I think, out of the closet with the Bitcoin ETF. It's clear that the fourth phase of acceptance, right? First, they ignore you, then they mock you, then they attack you, and now they accept you. And the Bitcoin ETF is acceptance. Shows how an industry can grow and can grow really fast, as has happened to us. But at the same time, as for any industry to reach mass adoption and being understood and used by the large public is important. Regulations are important. So we have been working with the regulators all around the world for many years. Some have been more receptive, others less receptive, not only for stablecoins, but also for crypto regulations in general. We believe that is important, given our position, to be helpful to the industry. We truly believe in the concept of disintermediation, so the ability of people to be their own bank, the ability of people to keep their wealth on their own smartphone if they want. So this type of information and type of explanations are really important for lawmakers that not always are up to date with the latest developments in technology. So sometimes they don't understand, how people can transact freely through Bitcoin on a blockchain, and what are layer 2s. I mean, there are so many buzzwords that we create for ourselves, and we complicate our life, because when we are going outside of our small bubble, in a sense, not in a bad way, but small closed group, It's harder and harder to explain what we are doing and why that is so important to people that are not so deep in technology.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned you have a really open dialogue with regulators. So if we look at maybe the last year, for example, we're not focused on any of the regulators maybe that could be doing it better, but is there any conversations you've had which have left you really positive for the incorporation of USDT or also just stablecoins, cryptocurrencies in general, with regulators?
So we are seeing here in Dubai, there is definitely a positive conversation, and we are entertaining that. And another place that I truly love is El Salvador. El Salvador, the Bitcoin country, now has first started working and delivered on a digital asset license that Bitfinex and other company that I represent was able to obtain. And now they are rolling out the stablecoin license. I think that small boutique countries that are more agile and more able to move fast and leverage their position to gather and attract talent, attract investments. You see in Dubai, I mean, there is a lot of crypto crowd. There is a concentration of wealth, also thanks to the crypto industry, right? So, of course, sometimes not everything is perfect. Like, I'm not a big fan of the coins with the dog face on top of it. But for the rest, I think that there are much more positives than negatives. So that's what many regulators are seeing around the world. I'm seeing also Singapore now and Hong Kong are looking to good and positive crypto regulations.
And you mentioned El Salvador there. I have to ask you about your plans for Bitcoin mining across Latin America. So talk us through some of the plans that you have.
So the common thread at Tether is decentralization and disintermediation. With USDT, we achieved the disintermediation of payments and remittances, right? So now we are living in a world where, for many countries, emerging markets, sometimes more than 10% of the GDP is remittances. Mm-hmm. Imagine all the people sending money back home, working in maybe in Europe or in US, sending money back home. You are charged 15% just to move a ledger in a centralized database. That is completely unfair, right? So I think the disintermediation that we made with USDT is enormous when it comes to finance. But the concept of disintermediation can happen in many other fields. So when it comes to Bitcoin mining, our concept is that disintermediation and decentralization are important also in our industry and to sustain our industry. Bitcoin mining was extremely centralized in China up to 2019. The Chinese government banned Bitcoin mining. Then Bitcoin mining moved to, the vast majority moved to the US. Of course, the US is more open than China. But at the same time, is it good, positive for the industry that such a concentration is in one single geopolitical location? What if the energy grid of Texas falls apart, and for many reasons that could happen, Bitcoin will suffer from them. It will recover for sure. But shouldn't we, companies in the Bitcoin industry and ecosystem, try to prevent that, trying to reinvest part of our resources in helping more countries to understand the beauty of being part of the most important currency ever created in this world? So that's what we are doing with El Salvador, with Uruguay, and Paraguay. We are establishing mining farms there, focusing on renewable energy usage. The beauty of El Salvador is that they have 70 volcanoes. They can use the geothermal energy in order to extract energy and do Bitcoin mining. Extremely clean. It's a process that, of course, takes a bit of time because drilling, 1 kilometer in the soil is not that fast compared to install a couple of solar panels. Mm-hmm. But is a story of commitment that the country has made to support Bitcoin, not only from a currency perspective, but also from decentralization and mining perspective.
So, ma'am, where exactly were you on the night of the murder?
I was right here, Detective, all night long.
You got anyone who can back that up?
You mean an alibi?
Yeah, that's the one.
No, I was all on my lonesome.
And what exactly were you doing all on your lonesome, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, keep it under your hat, Detective, but I was looking through the Coin Bureau Deals page.
What's a Coin Bureau Deals page when it's at home?
It's only the place where you'll find the best discounts and promos in all of crypto.
What do you mean?
I mean, trading fee discounts of up to 60% and sign-up bonuses of up to $60,000 on some of the best exchanges.
Holy smokes! They got discounts on hardware wallets too, by any chance?
They sure do, Detective, like you wouldn't believe.
Well, that sure sounds kind of swell, lady, but just you give me one good reason why I should believe a single word you say.
You don't have to take my word for it, Detective. Take a look at the link down below and see for yourself.
She wasn't kidding. Those deals really were something else. Turns out that crypto ain't such a bad place after all. You just gotta know your way around.
And the profitability, the business model of Tether, I mean, if we look at kind of Q3, Q4 earnings, very impressive. What other business pillars could we expect to see that may be in the pipeline? We've touched on Bitcoin mining. Is there anything else?
So we have been working on other pillars, right? So first of all, I want to make it clear that the Bitcoin mining and everything that we do, all the investments are outside of our reserves. Mm-hmm. So Tether today is a 109 billion market cap stablecoin. On top of that, Tether last year, as you said, was a great year for us. We had a profit of $6.2 billion. Someone says that we are probably the most profitable company per person that works there. But we kept the vast majority of these assets and these profits inside the reserves of USDT. Why? Because we want to demonstrate that finance can be different. we see the banking industry that is running on fractional reserve. We see how they can lend out up to 90% of their balance sheet. So it means that if they have a redemption more than 10%, they go belly up. We have seen that with Silicon Valley Bank, Signature, Silvergate, right? So it's and Credit Suisse.
Yeah.
So we want to show how we are built differently. Now, with USDT, we have the reserves. We have 5 billion more that we kept in the company out of the profits of 6 billion that we made last year in profits. And then with the remaining billion plus that we earned, we are investing different pillars. The Bitcoin mining we talk about. Then we investing in peer-to-peer communication suites and artificial intelligence. So, but the way we invest in projects and ideas is slightly different, or quite different actually, from the classic VC. The classic VC would look for the best opportunities to make the highest return possible. We invest in things that go on the same pace. They have the same ethos, the same philosophy. For example, when it comes to freedom of communications, freedom of speech, that is something really at the core of our mission.
Yeah.
As Bitcoin brings financial freedom, we believe that if you have financial freedom and you don't have freedom of speech, your financial freedom is useless. So we invested and built platforms like Holepunch and Kit, that is a communication suite that shows how you can build completely decentralized communication applications, like imagine BitTorrent for communications rather than just file sharing, to provide the same features, the same expectations in terms of resiliency that Bitcoin brings on the financial world, but also in the communication world. On the artificial intelligence side, and by the way, the peer-to-peer investment, the peer-to-peer communication investment is really important because it goes to the disintermediation of communications. We know we made the example of USDT, disintermediation of finance, Kit, Holepunch, our peer-to-peer concept, disintermediation communication. With artificial intelligence, we are planning to do the same. We have, of course, tens of and hundreds of companies that are contacting us to invest in their new large language model or their new ideas. But for us, the common denominator of all the AI world is the infrastructure. So we invest in Northern Data. That is one of the companies that have the majority allocation of AI chips, GPUs, because we have all seen what happened with Gemini 1.5 or with OpenAI and debate that was between Elon Musk and Sam. So there are all these issues of concentration of power in few companies that are using technology to express their political agenda.
Yeah.
So we are against that. We believe that there should be a fair access to also AI infrastructure. So we want to build that within Tether. We want to create tools that allow AI companies that need to have access to GPUs, to computing power, to have that type of access without being subject to the political belief of the few big tech companies that own the majority of the AI chips. We recently have been investing also in biotech. We believe that it's important for a company like Tether to give back to the community, not only the crypto community, but I said it in a speech previously. I feel like we have been extremely lucky. I wish I was able to tell you that the 109 billion market cap was reached because we are perfect, the most intelligent people in the world, and we are extremely beautiful. Actually, it happened because we created a product that is extremely useful. We didn't even have a marketing team up to 2022. So what was achieved in terms of distribution is because the product is simple. Everyone can understand it, right? It's just $1 on blockchain. Yes. How can be more simple than that? And so we feel that is in our duty to reinvest in technologies that protect Bitcoin through mining. Artificial intelligence is going to be one of the most important discussions in the future. It will be extremely crucial to see how it will change people's lives for the best, for the good and the worst in the future. But also biotech is also important, right? There are many good companies that need funding, that have great products that can improve people's lives today, right? There are many of them. And so we believe that, we don't need to buy a yacht for us, right? So we keep the vast majority of the company so that we can keep building, we can keep providing support to the great enterprises of this industry and outside of the industry.
Mm-hmm. And now when it comes to, because you mentioned there some of the reasons for Tether's success, and I think a lot of it is because of maybe pain points for the traditional financial system. If we focus a little bit more now on the EU's upcoming regulatory policies that are coming up, how do you think that is going to impact USDT?
In Europe, Tether has been working with European regulator and lawmakers for quite some time. Mm-hmm. We had open discussions. And first of all, we support regulatory initiatives in general. But I think that with the specific MiCA license, there are some regulatory concerns that we have. The main one is that when you run a stablecoin, the most important thing is that you need to be able to give back the money at any point in time to all your user base. The MiCA license requires for a small stablecoin to keep 30% of its assets, and for a big stablecoin like us, 60% of its assets, into cash deposits in a bank. And one could say, well, of course you have to have cash deposits. That is what is expected. Actually, cash deposits are dangerous. We have seen what happened with our main competitor, 2023, Silicon Valley Bank. They had $30.3 billion in uninsured cash deposits. The problem with cash deposits is that they are uninsured in the US up to $250,000, in Europe up to 100,000 euros. If you have 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion, 5 billion in a bank account, 100,000 euros don't break the buck. Okay. So the issue is that if there are cash deposits in a bank and the bank goes bankrupt, you lost everything. You have to go through the bankruptcy process to try to get something out of it. And we also have seen how many bankruptcy processes are leaving all the creditors hanging. How we can solve that? Solving that is easy, is what we are doing with USDT. Our plan with USDT is to be 100% US Treasury bills. We should be able to do the same thing in Europe. Mm-hmm. So if you have Treasury bills from the central bank, means that you expect the redeemability of those Treasury bills one-to-one for the underlying currency. They provide a little bit of interest so you can cover the operations. And that is the safest thing, because if you put these Treasury bills in a bank and the bank goes bankrupt, you can take back, you will be assigned back these securities, you move them in another bank. So that is extremely concerning to me, because the banks can lend out, if you have uninsured cash deposits in a bank, the banks can lend out up to 90% of the assets of in their balance sheet. And so if you have uninsured cash deposits that goes in the balance sheet, they can lend out 90%. So imagine if we had $109 billion in a European bank, and that bank in cash deposits, and that bank could lend out 100 billion out to someone that we don't know about. And the problem is that if there is a bank run on the bank that holds the uninsured cash deposits, mm-hmm. They can sustain up to 10% because they lend out 90%. So it means that if someone is asking to a stablecoin more than 10% of redemptions, the stablecoin would cause the bank run, because the stablecoin would require more than 10% back, and the banks will go belly up. And the banks are already failing. Again, Silicon Valley Bank and Silvergate and Credit Suisse. So I think the only solution is actually to keep everything in treasuries of the central bank. So we are trying to explain that. I believe that any stablecoin that wants to reach a meaningful size and is planning to keep such a big amount of uninsured cash deposits, the community should be really beware from that. Mm-hmm. Tether, USDT, is being used by 300 million people around the world in emerging markets, developing countries. We cannot, with all our heart, to put at risk those people, those 300 million people that are not in Europe, they are not in US, they don't have other options, right? In Europe and US, you have credit cards, debit cards, the best banking rails, whatever. But those 300 million people are living in countries that are left alone by the banking system. we will not put them in danger if the regulator will ask us to keep an insane amount of, an insane percentage of our funds in cash deposits.
Mm-hmm.
And now if we look ahead to the future of stablecoins, if we look at the last kind of, truly decentralized stablecoin, for better words, it was an epic failure. Do you think there is room for a truly decentralized stablecoin on the market? And if so, how would that impact Tether?
So this is an interesting point of view because there is a lot of competition, and we like competition because without competition, we cannot call the stablecoin industry an industry, right? We would just be USDT. And so regulators will not take you seriously if you don't have an industry, if you're just a company and you have full monopoly. Now, we are seeing other stablecoins, synthetic stablecoins, algorithmic stablecoins coming out. The issue with fully decentralized stablecoins is that why they are trying to create a stablecoin. So let's ask ourselves why we want a stablecoin. Because if we want a dollar stablecoin, why we want that? Because if we wanted to have the best currency in the world that is always that is resistant to the wrath of God, that is extremely resilient, that is uncensorable, you have Bitcoin. So Bitcoin solves all your problems in that sense. But if you want a dollar in your pocket, right, and you want to spend a dollar in your pocket, you surely want to make sure that if you have something that is represented dollar in your pocket, you can always convert to a dollar, right, at some point. So how a decentralized stablecoin can only do that through some algorithmic mechanisms that will inevitably fail. Because the only way to ensure that you can pay out a dollar or for $1 worth of stablecoin is that you have banking. So the moment you start having banking, how centralized or decentralized you can be, right? So either you are just a currency that try to mimic a little bit the dollar, but it's not then a dollar, it's not a stable coin because then it's volatile, because it cannot be pegged to the dollar because you don't have banking, or you just use something else.
And finally then, because we've covered a range of topics from the outlooks for future business diversifications with Tether, and I'm really curious to hear, Tether in 5 to 10 years' time, what is your vision for the entity and also where you see your role within these entities?
So in 5-10 years, I think we are going to open many more avenues for us. Again, the financial pillar of Tether will remain, I think, will keep growing. There is, unfortunately, fortunately for us, but actually unfortunately in general for the world, I don't see inflation going down anytime soon. I see many countries still being heavily subject to fast depreciation of their national currency. So what will happen is that it's known that the U.S. economy is printing $1 trillion every 100 days, right? So there is space to grow on all the financial sector of Tether. But what I really do care about is continuing these diversification avenues that bring our culture, our mission, our mindset of decentralization, disintermediation to all the possible sectors. We announce our educational effort. And when a cryptocurrency company works on or announce something related to education, usually people expect, oh, you are teaching me blockchain, you are trying to sell me your product and so on. Actually, I think that with the pandemic, education has shown how it can be revolutionized and become more and more digital. So I think that with Tether, we are building, investing in different areas to make sure that education can be available online. If you want to be a plumber, if you want to be an electrician, if you want to be anything in this world, you should be able to find the best teachers and have the best tools to learn. So that is where we are investing. So I think that Tether will become the brand that will support all these initiatives. We have this new motto called Unstoppable Together. Mm-hmm. And our concept is that we are still individuals. Everyone is his own person, right? But at the same time, we are a community, we form cities, we form countries. So the products that we want to build need to empower the single person as the local community, as an entire city, as an entire country, as an entire world. So we start small, we want to connect people, but we want to do it in a way that removes all the pain points and the unnecessary intermediation as much as possible in all the fields that we can.
Well, reeling off some of the numbers that you've mentioned today, it's an impressive feat. So thank you so much for the time today. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much for having me, and definitely I will go and have a nice coffee.
You have it, the coffee. Thank you so much.
That was my conversation with Tether CEO Paolo Ardoino, one of the busiest and most important people in crypto right now. My thanks to Paolo for taking the time to speak with me and his team for helping to make it happen. I hope we can resume the discussion in the near future because there are plenty more questions that I would like to ask him. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're looking for some of the best deals in crypto, then check out our deals page below. It's got trading fee discounts of up to 60% and bonuses of as much as $60,000. The link is down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all again very soon.